first time I felt like actual gun to my neck.
What?
You know, you feel like the steel, the cold steel in the back of your neck. And he goes, "What you got for me, big guy?" And I was frozen. I just said to myself, whatever you do now in life, you cannot go back. This is your career. You will never go backwards. You will always, because if you've been through this crap,
Yeah.
if you had a gun in your head so many times, you would be an idiot to go backwards and give up on this dream.
Momo Rodriguez, you're on Checkitow.
This is fun, man.
How you doing, my man?
I can't wait to talk about the drama of being back here 10 years later in LATV, where I started out as a guy in the stands trying to, you know, maybe see some rock stars and then eventually becoming a writer on a show here. I mean, this was like...
on Homies.
Right? This was the pioneering, I think, vessel for a lot of Latinos.
Absolutely.
In the industry.
Absolutely.
They're even, some of them are anchors around the country now. I mean, for me, it was like, wow, we got some brown people that speak like me. Yeah. Not all Spanish, not all English, but a mix of like who we are in this country. So it's pretty cool to be back in here, man. Let's trip out.
It's good to have you back, man. I mean, look, since you started here, and we'll get back into like the first days and stuff like that. Actually, we got a little...
Oh, man. The Homies Hip Hop Show, my first show where I had to play a stereotype voice.
Yeah. How'd that go?
It was crazy, man, because it was the first time I got to meet my heroes and people that I admired, and I got to work with them and write with them. What I didn't like, honestly, not talk about what I didn't like about it. It was just, you know, it was a little too cholo-ish.
It was pretty cholo-ish. But it was also, because Rick Najera was the executive producer.
Yeah, Rick Najera, man.
He's a friend of both of ours.
Yeah. I mean, he's a mentor for years for mine.
Big time. Mine too. But let's be honest, and Rick doesn't mind when I make fun of this.
Nah, he loves it.
He can get a little, like, how should I put it? He likes to dig into the stereotypes.
Oh, Rick's the whitest cholo you're ever going to meet. Like, Rick thinks he's hood. Yeah. Because if a white person looks at him twice, it's because I'm brown. Yeah. When he's like the whitest dude you ever see. Yeah. Yeah, but
he has that book called Almost White.
Almost White. Yeah. The book I read of Rick was the Pride of the Macho when I read it in high school. Right. And I was like, I want to meet this dude, man. This guy is genius. And I'm expecting to see some big ass cholo, you know, like all hardcore. Nah, it was some dude wearing a sports coat, you know, with his hair all dashy. I'm like, this isn't a Mexican.
Yeah, he's always wearing. Well, he's married to an Irish woman, and his kids he calls Mexicans.
Which, by the way, these kids, I saw them grow up, man.
Yeah,
these kids are wonderful. They're talented kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't get nothing from their dad, man.
That's hilarious.
Like, they're cute kids. They're handsome. They're great actors. They're actors now. Yeah. But Rick's like that Theo, you know, that talks to you about. He's like Uncle Rico from like Napoleon Dynamite. You know what I mean? Yeah. Always trying to videotape himself throwing what do you call him? Balls, you know. But he's a cool guy. He's always been a great writer, man. And he's actually gave me an opportunity to come to LATV. It was because of him that I came here.
How did he find you? Or you found him?
He found me doing stand-up. I was doing the improv, the Hollywood improv, you know, which in those days it was hard to be. Even now, man, and I don't want to pull that race card too early in your show, but...
To pull it, bro. This is Latino
television. You know, it's just, you know, being a Latino stand-up has always been difficult to get prime time nights. Right. And there was a show that Rich Revilla put together called Refried Fridays.
Fridays, right.
So I would start off in Refried Fridays, and it was the first time Latinos were prime time at the improv. Right. And, you know, we had lines of people.
It would be a packed house. I remember. Man, I did a couple of those shows.
It was so fun back then. That's when we would all meet. That was like our little, like our hub for a while. And that's when we saw guys like Gabriel Iglesias, you know, Felipe Esparza. All these guys were coming up and they were just headlining. And guys like me who were starting out would go and do like 5 minutes before them. And that got us going. But that was when we were all being discovered and then put into a little bunch of like a clique. Right. Which eventually the clique scattered. But deep down now, every guy that I work with, we have a brotherhood still. Right. Because we were in the trenches. Because only a few of us are left.
So what happened at the improv? Why do you think that? Because that was a packed show every Friday. So why did they take away the Friday prime time, the one Friday prime time at a major comedy club for Latinos, and put us back to the Monday at the Laugh Factory and the Tuesday here and there?
I think, I'll be honest with you, and I'm gonna say it again.
Say it.
It was our fault.
Why?
Because we weren't united. We hated who was getting booked. We hated on people's shows. We hated on comedians. We didn't get, you know, come stronger together. I mean, every guy that I mentioned right now, like if I was to mention all the guys that performed there like 10 years ago, you can't put them in the same room anymore.
Wow, I know.
So
Look, I had not to go off into too much tangent because I
Yeah.
want to get back to certain things. But like, look, I had Gabriel Iglesias here a few
Yeah.
weeks ago, and this you can see on the podcast. I asked him about Felipe Esparza. I thought they were friends.
Yeah.
And I had Felipe Esparza a few weeks before. I didn't really bring up Gabriel to Felipe, but Gabriel goes, "Who?" When I say, "Hey, give me a Felipe story," he goes, "Who?" And I'm like, Felipe Esparza. And he's like, yeah, no, I'd rather not. This was on camera. Off camera, he's like, me and him don't vibe anymore.
yeah.
Like, what's, I mean,
Look,
I haven't heard from Felipe about that, but is that something to do with the way their acts are completely different, or is it like, a personal
I think
thing?
it's just competition, man. That we don't, and it's not even our fault. It's what people make us do to ourselves.
Because
like,
we believe that there's only room for like one Latino or one Mexican or
Well,
one.
that's what we believe. But also, when you go to the casting calls, there's a show of 18 people on a series,
Right.
on ensemble, and only one of them's brown.
Right.
So yeah, we're gonna be in competition with each other. I bet you if there was more ensemble Latino roles, we'd be more friends with each other. Because now we're not, look, every Latino description when you look at LA casting or any kind of casting is me and you. It's probably the same description. We look totally different,
Right.
but the description will be the same.
Right.
Hispanic, Latinx, male.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
So we are in competition. Even though we're two different people,
Right.
we're still going to hate each other.
Yeah.
So it's not even our fault, I mean, that way, but it is our fault for giving into it.
Right.
Like Felipe is an amazing comedian, Gabriel's an amazing comedian, George Lopez is an amazing comedian, Paul Rodriguez, even Mencia. I mean, all of them, these are great comedians, man. Each of them, if you were to see them, you would think this is a great show. You just can't put them in the same room, which is not their fault. It's just the fault of the situations brought on them.
Right.
And, we all make bad, bro. We're Latinos. We treat each other like family.
Yeah.
We might not like each other for 10 years, but like 20 years down, we're like, hey, bro, let's go get a beer. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know what the history of what happened before or what happened during, but one day we're all going to come together, man. So,
Listen, when we come together,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Look, I'm Cuban. I tell all my Mexican friends.
Oh, man.
If
See,
Mexicans
that's
took a
hard.
page off of Cubans, because Cubans are a small group, this would be the United States of Mexico.
That is true.
Because you gotta unite more. I think that because there's so many Mexicans, maybe you guys don't feel like you need to have a united front, but a united front would take over this country, like for real. And you can start off in the comedy world.
Yeah.
And because, dude, I think right now is a really good time for Latino comedians, particularly LA, Mexican comedians. Because look,
Yeah.
Felipe Esparza, yourself, there's a lot of people coming up in the game. I want to turn before I get into some of the people you're working with, because you're obviously working with George Lopez. You're also
Yeah.
working with a lot of some of the biggest black comedians, right?
Yeah,
Dio
man,
Hughley?
Dio Hughley's a good guy, man.
Yeah.
Cedric's a good guy, Cedric Entertainer. I mean, these are all mentors of mine.
How did you
man.
find these guys?
I think I found these guys through George, but the reason I got
Because George mostly hangs out with the black comedians.
I think George hangs out with anybody who has a good vibe, to be honest with you. And like we just talked about, some of the Latino guys, we just don't vibe with each other. I have so many Latino guys that I admire, but I wouldn't hang out with them. It sounds
Okay,
weird.
but can I ask you something? You opened up for Carlos Mencia for several years.
Yeah,
Okay.
4 years. Yeah.
How did that conversation go with George Lopez? Because they had beef. George Lopez,
know,
I think, punched Carlos in the face.
Oh, there
didn't
was a lot of beef between them, and I think I don't know if there still is, but we never brought it up. George never brought it up. I think at the end of the day is if you're good at what you do, it doesn't matter. We never ever talked about him. I don't even ever heard George say a bad thing about him. I never heard Mencia say a bad thing about George.
Right.
I've never heard them talk bad about it. It's weird, but
he? Do you still talk to Carlos Mencia?
yeah.
Dude, I believe that he's primed for a comeback.
Oh, look, let me tell you, I've seen him write. I've seen him create so many amazing bits on stage and off stage. I mean, I spent a lot of time with him. He's to me he's one of my favorite performers, because when you see him perform, you're like, man, people hate this dude sometimes. It's like he's amazing. But that's what every comedian, man. Every comedian has.
It was
hate.
that Joe Rogan incident that really just kind of got under his career, and but I think he is really good on stage, and I do see he has a name. I think that now is a good time for him.
Yeah.
Is he touring? Is he?
He's still touring. Yeah, he's. I think
Does he perform? Has he gone back to the Comedy Store?
I don't know, but I think he has. He performs every single weekend.
Okay.
All over the country, and he does his shows. I mean, like all these guys. I mean, you guys. George performs every single weekend.
George. One cool thing. I've had the chance to interview George Lopez a few times. One thing about him, I wasn't the biggest fan of his first sitcom show, because I wasn't into these cheeky, wannabe Bill Cosby type shows. But the Lopez show on TV Land really showed more his real personality.
yeah, he's
because
great.
he's a harder, edgier guy than what America was first introduced to on that sitcom.
And they weren't ready for that, George. America still
The real George
they're
that you
still
see
not
on
ready
TV.
for that guy. They're still not ready. He's George Lopez is that one guy that is so full of truths that that's what's so funny about it. The stuff he talks about is so true that you're just like, it's gonna piss somebody off, but that's part of what this career, this occupation is. Going to the edge and then putting your foot on the other side just to mess with people.
Yeah.
Mencia does the same thing. I mean, Fluffy people think, oh, he's so clean, he's all this. He is real clean, but I like the fact that Fluffy still kind of throws little jabs here and there,
Right.
like insinuates.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are all trendsetters. They're all pioneers, and instead of all of us, like talking against each other, imagine, it'd be cool to see a Western with all of them, like the Magnificent
Yeah.
Seven. Every
The Magnificent Siete.
oh my gosh, that would be the best thing to see a Western with all the top Latino comedians. That would make young comedians now that are Latinos.
Right.
That would inspire them to write and create.
Well, bro, write that. I know you're writing a bunch
I'm
of
already
pilots.
writing. I'm writing a bunch of them, but
But are you writing the Western featuring everybody?
Oh, yeah,
You can have, look, take the title, Magnificent Siete.
well, I want to write about even the legends of California, Joaquin Murrieta, the famous bandit of California. We don't even know who he was or who killed him or how he died. In reality, there was all these copycats.
Give me the quick, what is he, like a Pancho Villa type?
He was like the first Zorro. They based Zorro off of him, and he was a famous bandit in California to a point where people copied him because he would rob from the rich to give to the poor. So there was Joaquin here, Joaquin there. All these stories were going all over about him. So I wanted to create something where they were all Joaquin and they all
Nice.
met each other and did something great, which is kind of who they really are. They're all something representing who we are. I mean, if you're not in the entertainment industry, you don't know the grudges, so you love them all. Because I bet you the only time you see them all together would be in your phone or on your YouTube playlist.
Right.
That's beautiful to have all these great guys because at the end of the day, man, they're speaking to our kids, our people, who we are. And I think it's our job to, not unite them because, that's their own business, but at least unite their words and their media so people can share.
One thing that I do think is important also is for, I think that our Latino comedians are ready also to cross over. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
like, you guys do great in front of, the hometown, your home crowd,
Yeah.
a Latino audience, like when you're doing stuff at the Ice House and stuff like that. But I also think that, like, Felipe Esparza has been really good about this. He can bring his personality across cultures, and he can bring cultures to him.
Yeah.
You do that as well. But
Yeah.
I'm interested in how you work with the black comedians that you work with, and how that cross culture between black and brown works when you're working with them.
Oh, we're the same, man. Black and brown has always been the same. Maybe different words here and there, but we have the same values of family, and we believe in bettering ourselves, and we also have to deal with the prejudice of people around us. It's the same comedy, black or brown. That's why our music always has rhythm,
Right.
black and brown, because we're always trying to just shake it off, come up with different. We are a people of improv.
Right.
Black and brown are the best at dealing with whatever they got.
Speaking of improv, I mean, you do a lot of bits, but you do a lot of improvisation and crowd work.
Oh my gosh!
Tell me about, like, your style a little bit.
Well, my style is a lot of improv, but I like to have I have themes. What I learned from the greats, man. I learned from being a student of working close with George Lopez, with Mencia, Paul Rodriguez, even hearing stuff from Fluff, all the greats, and also I studied the greats, Richard Pryor, Cosby, be a fan of the man, not the,
Right,
not a fan of the man, but a fan of the art,
Right.
and also guys like George Carlin. So those were my guys. George Carlin was my Mencia.
Yeah.
My Richard Pryor was George Lopez, and my Bill Cosby was Paul Rodriguez. So I used their styles, brought my new first generation Mexican in California style, and then made it into conversational. But I also do a lot of improv because that's what Mexican Latinos in general in California do. We're improv. We just, I grew up during the raids, the 1970s raids. My dad was here, and my dad was being deported all the time.
Wow.
So, we were raised.
It was like that scene in Cheech and Chong,
Basically,
where they come
go
with
to
the
the wedding,
bus,
for the
and
wedding.
they go, "Oh, you're gonna go to the wedding." Go to the...
That's how I was growing up, but so we learned how to improv everything, even growing up as a student. My mom and dad weren't speaking English, so when we would go to school, we would have to be the one to like deal with the teacher.
Wow.
Even in college, when I went to college, and we didn't have a college to fun. We didn't have raising for I had to figure out the hardest thing in my life was not gang violence,
Right.
was not drug use. It was how to fill out a FAFSA for financial aid. That was the hardest issue I had to deal with.
So your parents came from Mexico before? Were you born in Mexico? Or were you
I was
here?
born here. They came in during the late 70s. They came from Chihuahua, Mexico, and they had my sister here, and then they had me. We were the anchor babies.
Yeah.
But I mean,
What do you think of the whole DACA thing? Do you think? I mean, it's about time that
Oh,
they
man.
sign off on
look,
that.
Let me tell you, do not, and this is a PSA, okay? PSA. Do not deport the dreamers.
Right.
Deport the cholos. Unless it's a cholo named Dreamer, then we have a situation.
Okay.
Then we
No,
have-
you keep Dreamer.
Yeah,
If
keep
it's
Dreamer.
Spider or
Spider.
Chino or Loco
Yeah.
or Joker.
Maybe Casper, because he's
Casper's
very
down.
transparent.
That's fine.
But it means a lot that these guys, these men and women, these young men and women,
Right.
can experience something positive, and with what they went through.
Right.
People think, oh, they came over here. It was easy. It's not easy to come over here, man. It's hard. You know how hard it is to cross the border in a car, just from TJ, that long line,
Yeah.
people trying to sell you stuff. That's exhausting. Imagine doing that in the desert. Middle of the night. My dad would tell me stories. My dad said he would cross and they would deport him right when they caught him. But what he would do is he would cross the border, find a house, do some work, and get fed. But sometimes they would make you work all day, and after you're done working, they'd call immigration on you.
What?
And they would promise you food, like, hey, work all day and we'll feed you. So sometimes he would work all day and say, okay, either I get food or I get sent back, but I will get food later on in the ride. So it was a 50-50.
Wow, bro.
And then one time he was working so hard, they fed him. He's like, oh, great, they didn't call immigration on me. And then they gave him Dr. Pepper, and he never had Dr. Pepper ever in his life. So he thought he was being drugged because of the taste. So he just took off and ran out.
Wow.
I mean, that's where our family
Now,
went
where
to,
was
man.
your dad coming from?
From Chihuahua, Mexico. He would cross to El Paso.
Right. And what was what was the motivation that to come here and stay, to come here and find work?
Come here to find work and start a life. Start a life. I mean, look, Mexico. I'm proud to be Mexican.
Yeah.
My family's proud to be Mexican. But there's a reason why we're here.
Right.
It's not great over there, man. It's not all beaches and Coronas and women popping out of coolers when you pull out a beer out.
Yeah.
No, it's not like that over there, man. It's tough. They came here. Think about it. How hard must it be if you're going to sacrifice your children's lives crossing the river?
Mm-hmm.
That's not. That's not what for the sabrita bags.
Right.
Man, it's hard over there, man.
Yeah, no. One thing that like this country really also has to understand that so much of this country, especially the Southwest,
Yeah.
is Mexico, and
Yeah.
to not have that as part of your national identity it's obviously racist because.
Yeah.
It was Mexico. It is Mexico. It's like the famous saying for a lot of people, they didn't cross the border
Border
crossed
crossed
them,
them, yeah.
and a lot of people that are recrossing the border are really recrossing it back to where
Yeah.
a lot of their family was probably, based. Yeah. So
and my grandfather came to the U.S. and went back. He was a bracero, where back in the 20s, they would have Mexicans come in to do the farm work. And even back then, people couldn't pick their own fruit, man.
yeah.
Like, that was how tough it was. I mean, my family, I have a really rich family in sense of work. They work hard. They might not have the money, but they're wealthy and passion.
Mm-hmm.
One of my great uncles is Anthony Quinn, the actor.
Really?
Yeah, Rodolfo Quinn, Oaxaca. My real name is Osvaldo Rodriguez, Oaxaca. So he's also from Chihuahua, Mexico. My grandfather's cousin came over here, and his dad, Irishman. That a lot of Irish would go to Chihuahua for the railroads, to help build the railroads and for the revolution.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of passion in my blood, and for me to be here, to be in the entertainment industry, is, it's very difficult for my parents, because even my dad is like, I crossed the border for you to be a clown, like, really, like, I work my ass off, and you're over here writing stories like. And he didn't understand it.
They understand hard work.
They understand
Your
hard
dad's
work.
generation understands hard work.
He didn't get it. I think it was until he saw me with Mencia at the Treasure Island Casino in front of thousands of people. I made him and my mom go watch me, and my dad's just looking at me. He's like, "I'm proud of you, man. You know, but I just don't get why." And my whole family was like, "Why do you do this if it's not? Doesn't make any sense. You're so smart. You have an education. You're doing this." And I go, "You know what, Dad? Let me cross my border."
Nice.
You know. And I think that's when he understood, like, why I'm doing this. You know, this is not to be rich. It's just because I want to tell a story. I want my dream. And my dream is to make sure our place here in the United States, and it was as Americans, not as Mexicans, as Americans, we are a people. We need to be heard, and our kids need to be inspired. Man,
This is a Latin nation. We have a show called Latin Nation, but this is a Latin nation.
It is. I mean, dude, I was a kid. I was told I was plagiarizing when I was writing poetry at 6th grade. The teacher told me I was plagiarizing because she's never heard me talk those words, speak those words. See, I even said it wrong right now. Speak those words. She said, "Well, you don't talk like this. How do I know you didn't copy?" I'm like, "I didn't." Well, and that made me not write for like.
You know what? I'm a writer as well, and I think the mark of a good writer is that you can write in other people's voices and other things. So, you know, if you read some of my writing, it's like, wait, I don't hear Humberto say these words, but like that's such a. You know, if it was a white kid, would she have reacted the same way? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And I mean, I've written scripts, and I'll tell you a story. Like, even like right now, we're talking about what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I'm writing a lot of pilots.
Right.
I'm writing for a lot of punch-up, for a lot of guys. I write punch-up here and there. But I wrote a pilot, which is an amazing pilot. I love it. It's not because it's mine, but I worked so hard on it. And I sent it to a few networks. A lot of them loved it. They weren't ready for it. One network took a meeting with me and my mentor. You know, I'm not going to say who it is, but it rhymes with Lopez. And we were just, hanging out. He did this for me. He wanted to be my executive producer on the show. He's like, "You know what? Get me the meeting with the network, and I'll go with you." He went with me. It was a big deal to have my hero with me.
That's big.
At the network. We sit down. All he do was praise me. "You're a great writer. My God, we love what you wrote. It's very good story. The characters, they seem we could spin off different things." I'm like, "Oh, thank you. So what do you guys want to do?" "Well, we're going to develop you further, and maybe, we're not ready for it right now, but, maybe we'll give you a call when I think there's a good spot for it." I'm like, "Great." I walk out of the studio, and I'm just quiet. And then everyone's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "You should feel great. People just praised you. A major network just praised you." And I'm like, "That's great, but I sent them a blank PDF document. I never sent them the script."
Wow.
I wanted to see if they would read it, so I was thinking I was gonna get like an email back from the assistant. "Oh, we couldn't open it up." No, they never read it, man. And at that moment, I said to myself, we cannot go into a network and pitch. We have to show up with a produced project done, ready to go. We got to show them what we can do, and not ask them if we can do it. We in Hollywood cannot tell. We here's a perfect way to say it. Hollywood should not tell us when they're ready for us. Hollywood should not be the one that says when we're ready. We should do that ourselves. And that's what's going on. They're saying if it's okay. Imagine going into a room having to be approved if it's a good show.
Right.
That's horrible. People who know nothing about you, don't even read your script. "Yeah, you know what? You're not ready yet." You haven't even read what I wrote. Now, I'm not here to make a racist or pull the race card, but let's be honest, man.
Right.
People who say, "Oh, you're just trying to pull the race card. You got to work hard like everybody else." Well, I work harder than a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
And my friends, my colleagues, they see me. You see me all over the place, running around like crazy. What's more?
Yeah.
Even here, LATV, man.
Right.
I used to take the bus here. I used to take a 4-hour bus to come to work here. And one time, I put Reading the Hair on blast. He's like, "I wanted to be an on-camera guy for the homie show."
Yeah.
And he said, "Momo, you're too ugly." Straight up. That's not what he said. Right. But that's what he was saying. "You're too fat and ugly. You're not going to do any pretty people." So I'm like, "Well, can I do at least one on-camera thing?" He's like, "You know what? We're doing a big show for LATV at the Ha Cafe in North Hollywood." Now, at that time, I lived in the Costa Mesa. He's like, "So come tonight, but dress like a mariachi." So I rented a mariachi suit, man.
Wow.
And I wore a mariachi suit from Costa Mesa, 6-hour bus drive because of all the stops and changes to North Hollywood. And when I got there, he goes, "You know what? We're not going to need you after all." So I had to take another bus ride back to North Hollywood. You know how many times you hear people say, "Una canción, mijo." Like it was horrible. My feet, I was wearing cowboy boots and everything, and I said to myself on that bus, "Dude, this is the life you chose." Now back to the bus. I became a regular at the Laugh Factory. Now for those who don't know, when you become a Laugh Factory regular, it's a big deal. People wait in line to just even be seen by these guys. I got in there by accident. Again, and I'm gonna put the club on blast. I got on that show because Joey Medina was the host back then.
Right.
Monday night, Latino night.
Yep.
And he's like, "Hey, Momo, come to the club. I'll let you do 5 minutes before the show starts." You know. So I go, I do 5 minutes, and I'm like, "Cool." You know, I'm excited. Laugh Factory first time. Well, Kid Reed from Kid and Play, Chris, doesn't make it. So he goes, "Momo, can you do another 15 on stage?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. All I had was 10. Like, and I just did 5. So he's like, "Well, I need you to go up because he's not here yet." So he throws me up on stage, and I just battled through, and I do 15 minutes. I don't know how I did it. I rolled on stage. It was all improv. I got off stage, and the lady who was in charge of that night, Cecily, she came up to me. She's like, "What's your email? I don't even have you on my list as a regulars list." Oh, and I just totally played it. "Oh, okay, well, that's what Mexicans do when they don't know." "Oh, you know," she said, "Oh, yeah, this is my email." And I give her my email, and the next thing you know, the next day, I was on the regular list as a Laugh Factory regular. So I went on there by accident. So for a whole year, I was studying my avails, and I was on every other show. To eventually, Jamie, the owner, Jamie Massad, never knew I was a regular on his club. But I was just amongst everybody already. And that's how I became a regular. So to keep a regular spot, you had to do whatever they told you to do.
Right.
So I had to do Monday night. Sometimes I would do one show at the Hollywood and one in Long Beach, but I had no car, bro. And I lived in Norwalk. So I would take the bus to the Hollywood. It was the green line to the blue line to the red line, go perform, get off stage, red line to the blue line, and then there's this part on the red line, the blue line and green line where it's like Watts, where you change stations. In that area, I was mugged 14 times in 5 years, bro.
Jesus Christ, man.
14 times. And on the 14th time, it was the worst one because it was the first time I felt like actual gun to my neck.
What?
You know, you feel like the steel, the cold steel in the back of your neck. And he goes, "What you got for me, big guy?" And I was frozen. I just said to myself, whatever you do now in life, you cannot go back. This is your career. You will never go backwards. You will always, because if you've been through this crap,
Yeah.
if you had a gun in your head so many times, you would be an idiot to go backwards and give up on this dream.
You've paid your dues and then some.
Man, and you know what? And that's why I get to meet some great guys and people like, and you know, that's something I hate when people ask, "How'd you get it? How'd you get it?" What do you mean, how I got it? I earned it.
Damn.
You know, a lot of guys out there. George Lopez. How do I meet George? You want to know the true story? I snuck into Warner Brothers Studios. There's a show called According to Jim back then.
Right.
I snuck in as a seat filler for According to Jim. When you sneak in through, I think Audiences Unlimited, the seat people. I went into the restroom with the restroom break. I stayed in the stall for 3 hours with my feet up, just like crouching like that. I didn't know I had that kind of athletic ability.
That's hilarious.
And I just stayed there for 3 hours. When they left, I went out and I walked on the lot to the George Lopez lot where they shot the show. I walked into the back and I snuck in, and the lady was like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm George's cousin. I just came back in the truck." And okay, so let me roam around. Then I got arrested for trespassing. And then later on, you know, I ended up doing stand-up on the studio audience, and that's when George was like, "You know what? Go to the Ice House." You know, he gave me some advice. His wife, Anna, at that time told me, "Yeah, mijo, go to the Ice House," you know. And that's how I got started, basically.
You know, I've seen your comedy progress over the years. I think in the beginning you were definitely presenting yourself, the character that's Momo.
I was a fat guy.
Yeah. Now I see, like, you know, you're talking about like marriage. You're married now.
Yeah, married life changes everybody, man. You forget you're fat when you're married.
That's hilarious. It also gives you a lot of material.
Oh man, like the funniest part about being married for me was the ability to like just feel this confidence. You feel more confident because you're like, wow, somebody fell for this. Like somebody said to themselves, "This is the best I can do."
And by the way, she's in the room
She's in the
right
room.
now.
She's crying right now.
Yeah.
She's crying. She said, "I mean, this to her, this is where she peaked, bro.
Right.
This man you see before you is where she peaked. She can't do better than this." And that's for me. That was pride, you know. But also, you got to remember when you marry, you become stupid.
Right.
You know, because now you're not the smartest man that you used to be to her.
Right.
Once you put that ring on, you're an idiot, man. Because there's no more trying to kiss your ass. You're already, that's it. He's an idiot. You know?
You're never right.
You never, okay, our wedding. What, are you married?
No.
Okay.
I was engaged once. It
Oh,
fell
my
through a
God.
time.
I'm gonna tell you, God bless you.
Man.
But when you get married, you know they already know what they want. So she had an idea for the color. Everybody has a color of their wedding. So I asked her what the color was. She's like, "Oh, it's gonna be we're gonna go eggplant." What color is eggplant, man?
Purple.
Exactly. Why not just say purple? You know how hard it is you know how hard it is for my mom to understand. I told her. She's like, "What's it called in Spanish? How do you say eggplant in Spanish?" Nobody knows. I was like, "Planta de huevo." Like,
I know. It's
like
not.
You know, I'm sure there is a word, but I don't know what it is. But I mean, it's just you become an idiot. Things are just you become stupid from that moment on, and that stupidity makes you work even harder. Now you're not working for yourself. Now you're working for a team. You know, and as an entertainer in the industry, you know, you're always saying to yourself, how many more weeks till she leaves me? Because, you know.
Listen, being in a relationship with a stand-up comedian
It's
is
hard.
not easy. I know.
Because it's not just not secure about it. When's money coming in?
Right.
When's your next gig?
Right.
When's this? I mean, it's stress for a woman to be with a comedian. I mean, the only reason they stay is for the laughs. Basically, it's the only reason. It's not the sex. I'll tell you that much.
And that's hilarious. And the cuddles.
And yeah. It's like, pues está gordito, so you know he's good for the winter.
No, that's you're totally in season.
Oh,
during the fall.
we're
winter.
coming up, man. We are. The chubby season is coming in, man.
That's so fun, dude. We were talking about Felipe because I had him on the first show. Do you talk to him?
I love Felipe. Felipe, I talk to me and Felipe talk a lot. Like we text. I like watching the stories, but you know, Felipe and I go way back because
before he was a vegan, way back.
Oh,
when
dude.
he was biting guys' ears off or whatever. You know the stories.
Man, I first met Felipe like 12 years ago. The first time I knew who he was,
right?
Because I would watch him.
Yeah,
I would go to the shows and I would see him, and I thought this guy's freaking hilarious. And the first time I got to meet him in person was in Bellflower, California. Mm-hmm. It was in Bellflower at a bar. I forgot the name of the bar. It's not there anymore. Now it's some Mardi Gras bar. But I get there, and my friend Cisco was doing the show. So Cisco was putting the show together, and he's like, "Hey man, I got Felipe the headline today." I'm like, and I was nervous. It was like my 6 months in comedy. So I wasn't sure. I didn't have my voice. I didn't have my rhythm. I didn't have nothing. So I'm nervous, and I walk up there, and I have a guitar with me. That was my first phase as a comedian. I had a guitar with me. That was my security blanket. So I go on stage, and I sing a song, and I get some laughs. And I get off stage, and Felipe comes to me and goes, "Hey, fool, I never know you play the guitar." And I'm like, "Nice to meet you. My name's Momo Rodriguez." That was the most weirdest, just introduction. I never knew you played the guitar. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. You never knew me.
That's hilarious.
But from that day on, you know, he was always sweet. And I remember the first thing he told me was like, "You're funny, man." He's like, "You have messed up teeth, but you're funny." And you know what, man? You should say that you thought your name was Pruébalo, because when you were little, your mom was always like Pruébalo. That was his first. He gave me that joke a long time ago,
funny.
And ever since then, he was always a sweet guy. I mean, you know, he talks, makes fun of everybody. But
It's so funny. Like I think that now people are starting to understand his words because in the early days,
I've seen those
my
videos.
God. Well, you know, I met him because we were talking about this movie that. You can talk as much shit about.
Talk about Taco Shop, right?
Yeah, I have a little scene in the end with him, like one line. That
Did he have no lines? He had no lines. He just had a mask on.
He had, and then he had God, I forgot what this woman, this black female comedian, Cookie. She was his interpreter. So I had a scene as a reporter, like trying to take down like what he's saying, but we spent pretty much 90% of that day waiting for that scene in his trailer, smoking blunt
another
after
Rick
blunt
Nahara
after
production.
blunt after blunt. Oh,
yeah, another Rick Nahara production.
Yeah, that kept on being. They filmed it, I don't know, 2015, and it was released like 5 different times.
And then they got the whitest Mexicans to be the stars.
Who was the? Oh yeah, Tyler Posey,
the guy from Teen Wolf.
Yes.
And then who was Johnny? No, was it Johnny Sanchez? Johnny Sanchez.
And then George Perez is
George Perez in this. Yeah, I mean, I was up for the part of the friend of Johnny Sanchez, the chubby guy.
Who
Because
played
there was
that?
some, I don't even know, man. But I remember, like Rick told me, I got a part for you, Momo.
Do you think that movie set everybody back like 2 steps?
I think it said tacos back 20 years.
Oh
you know?
my
But I
God.
remember because I remember Rick was telling me, I got a part for you, Momo. This is Rick. Momo, I got a part for you. You're gonna love it. We're gonna get together. We're gonna work about it. And I want you to come over. Let's punch it up. I'm like, you want to go over and punch it up? What's it about? It's about taco shop. So I know you're gonna help me out. We'll punch it up. That's a Rick's keyword. Punch it up. We'll punch it up. You know. And I went. I want you to go to the audition. They're gonna love you. You know. You're gonna help us punch it up. It'd be great. I go to the audition. I do great. And then a month goes by. I don't even hear from Rick, and they shot it. Rick didn't have the balls to call me and tell me
my
that I wasn't
God.
casted in it. And I go, Rick, really? And I remember I saw Rick like a few months later. I'm like, hey, I heard it was a blast. And then my friend T. Lopez was in it.
Yeah, that's right.
And I even asked her, how would you do? I'm like, I don't even know what the movie was about. Like, you know, no, I'm not talking bad about the movie Taco Shop. I'm talking about the production and the people in charge of it. You know, if you're in the cast, you know, hey, you got to make your money somehow.
Yeah.
Those of you who were paid, by the way.
I wasn't paid. That's
Yeah. You know, people, they were even paid in tacos were fake.
Yeah, oh my God.
You know, the mouse had more lines than everybody
Well,
in
he
there.
had some. I don't want to get myself in trouble, but he had like some gangster put in some money so that he could be in it for like 5 seconds.
Oh,
and-
yeah. I know that guy.
yeah.
Well, it's funny because I was in another movie of his, Lean Like a Cholo, by the Lean Like a Cholo guy.
Okay.
He wrote a movie called Lean Like a Cholo, and I was in 2 scenes, and I don't think they ever finished it, man.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to make himself the star, and
Yeah.
and you know, let me tell you, I worked for a company called Maker Studios
Uh-huh.
for a while, and there were YouTube people. We're all YouTube guys. I did a lot of YouTube guys, but when networks started giving YouTube people contracts and development deals, they didn't realize that they couldn't act.
That's the thing, is that you look at a lot of these YouTubers and which one of them has a sitcom based on them on network TV?
None.
Not one.
They
It didn't work.
They've all had pilots,
Yeah.
but how much money did the network spend?
Well, I remember FX was putting a whole show around the is it Ray J. Williams or the Equals 3?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
guy?
Yeah,
He was
Ray
gonna
William
have-
Johnson.
Yeah, he was gonna have.
I worked for that guy.
Okay, yeah, Rick Naher also worked with him too.
Yeah.
It looks like a Latino, but I don't think he is, right?
No.
Yeah.
He and my friend Pedro Flores did the opposite, the Spanish version called Igual a Tres.
Oh, okay.
And same thing happened. Like these guys come in, Ray William Johnson, they had their numbers, they had millions and millions of subscribers. But, you put them on a format. See, YouTube was anti-TV.
Right.
YouTube was anti-format, anti-everything. So when you give them a format, they're not going to be the same.
No.
Plus, what did Ray William Johnson really do? Make fun of other people's videos.
The worst movie of all time, which actually makes Taco Shop look like Citizen Kane, the Smosh movie. Did you ever see that?
No, and I heard about that movie.
Oh
Yeah.
my God! It's like, is this a spoof of a spoof of a spoof? Because
But it got funded.
it did get funded.
Like in my project, I'm asking for $45,000 to fund my pilot for that one I wrote, and it's a beautiful pilot.
Are you crowdfunding it?
I did, but no one helped out. See, that's the thing. You can't ask the Latinos for crowdfunding, bro. Because Latinos, for them, crowdfunding, for them to say that they helped out is by sharing it.
Yeah.
They'll share it,
Yeah.
but they won't. I mean, look, you can't ask Raza for like money for a project. Come on.
They're like, what, bro? They don't see it that way.
Like, you want me to help you? So it's like telling your mom when you're growing up that you need money for a field trip. So you want me to help you raise money so you can go play
Yeah.
at school.
Because they just get hard work.
So that's what you want.
They just
You
get
want
hard work,
me
yeah.
to go sell cookies so you can go have a good time at the place where the dinosaurs are already dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Momo, then you gotta work on being the white guy's favorite Mexican
Oh,
comedian.
I'm trying to, man. But see, is the thing. One thing I learned, one thing I learned from Mencia, Carlos
Right.
Mencia, when I first went on the road with them. I remember he picked me up on the road, and the reason I got on the road is because I snuck into a golf tournament.
You sneak in everywhere.
Oh, bro.
Do you still sneak in places?
Let me tell you, I parked illegally around here somewhere.
Yeah, I
so, yeah, but I
I
still
bet you
do
snuck
sneaking.
in here, and even though you're on
Yeah.
the show, you still snuck in
As a
here.
matter of
Like,
fact,
oh,
Fluffy was supposed to be on today. So I remember I snuck into this golf tournament, and it was for Latino East LA, for Tony Plana's Golf Classic.
Right.
And I met Tony, I met everybody, and then I happened to be, you know what, Mencia's not here yet, so you want to open up for him? So I opened up for Mencia in front of everybody. Every famous Latino I can imagine was there. And after it was over, Cheech tells Mencia, this guy's funny. And I did a joke, and the joke was, when I said, well, thank you. I got to get out of here. Before I do, I want to thank you guys for having me here. I think it's great that you're helping these kids learn more about theater and enhance their vocabulary, because sometimes it's bad for us Latinos like me. I messed up last week. I did a charity event, and I forgot to ask what the charity was for. And I asked the woman, what do you guys represent? What's your cause? And some woman goes, well, we're having an event here for battered women. And I was like, that sounds delicious. Put me down for a dozen. And that joke I thought was going to get nothing, but instead, Cheech looks at Mencia and goes, you got to take that guy on the road. And that's how I got on tour.
Wow.
Mencia.
That's a really funny
But
joke.
here's the thing. It's funny, but you got to like it. When I went on the road with Mencia, he told me, how long can you do? And, here's the biggest mistake. For all the young comedians out there, don't ever make this mistake. When a comic asks you, how much time can you do? Never say this. Well, I could do like 45. I could talk for like an hour. I could do like half an hour. No, don't ever say that. Say you can do a solid 20. That's if you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Say, I could do a grade 7. I said to Mencia, I could do like, half an hour. Oh, really? Okay, cool. Well, we leave next week to Reno. I'm in Reno. No Mexicans. All white people in that area we're performing at. I lasted 5 minutes on stage.
Wow.
And I, for the first time, took it. I said, okay, you are not a comedian. You are a Latino comedian. In the 4 years I was with Mencia, I learned how to be a stand-up. I performed for every audience,
Right.
every crowd. And to this day, I still get booked on random shows that are difficult,
Yeah.
but I still do them because I want to say I could do them.
Right.
That's the key to being a Latino in comedy. Just be a comedian. Gabriel said it in one of his specials. When he went overseas, they said to him, oh, it's nice to have an American comedian. He was not seen as a Latino comedian.
Right.
As much as we are in competition, all of us, which we are, I think we should enhance this brotherhood.
Totally.
Because we are Americans, man.
Right.
But we get to be that one branch of American
Right.
that has a little bit of, sazon,
Yeah.
a little bit of, flavor, a little bit of struggle.
Right.
That this country is, especially right now, it's a big topic. The whole immigration, these kids, these cages. It touches me, man. That's my family we're talking about.
Right.
These kids in cages, these people being deported, these are family members of mine right now that I don't even talk to because they're not here. So it does hit home. How do you make it that funny?
Let me ask you this. Well, but before I get to the question, how do you make it funny?
Well,
Do you make it funny?
you
at all?
laugh. Yeah, man. You laugh at it as much as you can, dude.
Do you know what? You know what? When I was younger, I read I had a book of quotes that explained things, and I got to this one quote about comedy, what humor is, and this is a quote from hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
And this philosopher said, "Laughter is the death of a serious emotion."
Yeah.
And the laughter is the radiation. So what comedy is that's why the Greeks had the tragedy and the comedy. It's
Yeah.
like you sometimes, you can make like a blue joke, or you can joke about sex or a fart or whatever, but real comedy sometimes takes a serious thing
Yeah.
and takes the emotion out of it. And then you're kind of just looking at it, and that's why. And the laughter is you removing the shit that weighs you down, because a
Yeah.
lot of times you're laughing at something negative. I mean, why do you laugh at somebody that trips and falls on their face? That's a serious emotion of holy shit. But when you take the serious emotion out of it, you can play the mental game.
Oh yeah, Mencia told me that one time. He was like, comedy is tragedy plus time.
Wow.
It is.
So that's why you say too soon sometimes.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because you're a comedian that's not afraid to stray into politics. Do you think that Trump is uniting Latinos in this country, or is he dividing them?
Oh no, man, he's dividing everybody in this country.
Yeah?
Not just Latinos.
Do you know Latinos that are Trump
Yeah,
supporters?
I do.
Mexicans.
Yeah, I do.
And what's their logic?
Their logic is, it's not about what he's saying, his rhetoric, but it's more of what it does for them. I know one person that is for Trump because his child care plan to help more families with child care, and he has a lot of kids, so it makes sense to him to go to Trump. I know somebody else who's a business owner that to him he says Trump's been doing nothing but great things for his thing. But I also got a cousin that his wife might be taken away, so he's anti-Trump. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, Trump talks a lot of bull, but it's also people will fall for whatever they can do for them. Like at the end of the day, that's what politics is. What is it in it for yourself? This is the first time I think that it's been a viral campaign to see what people's personal life, their personalities affect the campaign. We could go back and talk about JFK, man. JFK was a great guy, He was doing Marilyn Monroe at the
Right.
same time. He was having all these affairs. He was a bit of a dick,
Yeah.
but he was a great guy. Now imagine if JFK was here right now. He would have had people that hated him.
Fact.
But JFK also did a lot for Mexicans. So, it's like it's
JFK's relationships with actresses is a little problematic. Somebody would say.
Yeah,
they
it's a
use
little
the word
problematic.
problematic.
Yeah, I mean, look at Bill Clinton got a beat Jay in the White House, and we were cool with it.
Yeah, I know.
But the economy
well,
was
not
great.
anymore. Not anymore.
Well, not anymore.
Did you see? Did you see how? What do you think about Bill Clinton being the guy that went to that Epstein Island the more
man.
times than any, like? Is that a surprise?
But it's not, see, that's the thing is like we gotta remember like everybody's human,
right.
but Trump is just being a dick.
Yeah.
He's being a dick to our people. Man, for him to say that, we are rapists,
Right.
are bringing, our drugs, we're criminals. I'm like, I mean, think about it, man. He says that we're breaking a crime by coming over here. His mom wasn't even a citizen.
Right.
His wife wasn't even a citizen. His
Right.
kids are anchor babies, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing. He wanted a better life, but it's just, you got to remember, Trump is playing to his crowd.
Right.
It's money in the end. He's going to play to people who are going to vote for him. What do we do as Latinos? Should we picket? Should we protest? No, we should go vote. Because what's our mentality? Why am I going to go if it's not even going to matter? How many people have you heard say that? Why should I even go vote? They're not even,
Right.
my vote doesn't even count. They don't even care about me.
Right.
Well, obviously, we could have used you in the last one.
Yeah.
But then you have other guys. But, yeah, Trump he's not a fan of the Mexican.
Why do you think he's not a fan of the Mexican?
Because he said it. I mean, he's said words like talking bad about what kind of people they are, how it's easy for them to cross over here. But he talks about how hard it is to cross over here, how we're just taking advantage of people. I mean, let's look at it. How much is to buy a vegan apple?
Right.
A apple that says vegan or no organic.
Right, organic.
Organic, right? Is like $2. Now imagine when the apple says picked by Americans, how expensive that's going to be. You think it's a coincidence that, the day the week and month he starts doing mass deportations is the same week the stock market takes a crap? I mean,
That's crazy.
What happened in Atlanta when they took everybody out? They took all the immigrants out and they had the what do you call it, the inmates pick. They wouldn't last a day.
Wow.
They'd rather be in solitary than to pick
Yeah.
fruit. I mean, you can't make an enemy. And this is one thing that I always admired about guys like George Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not quiet about it. And, I bet you because he's not quiet about it, it's hurt his career. I think he lost followers when he stood by the Latino.
Yeah.
That's horrible, man. For him to be looked down because he's trying to have a voice and help people out and promote, how to change and talk crap about a guy for his hate, because they are all like hate speeches.
You know what's crazy is, and this is somewhere where Republicans really mess up, is if they would remove those racist undertones from their rhetoric about this other Spanish-speaking, different people, and actually embrace Latinos and Mexicans. Latinos and Mexicans actually have traditional family values. They go to church. They do all the things that we say we should do in America, but they have an accent. Some of us speak, bilingually. I think the language thing is something that rubs a lot of like these rednecks the wrong way. And because they just feel it's foreign to them, even though most Mexicans are actually from here, and most rednecks are descended from Scottish, Irish, whatever.
Yeah, I don't like the way his name is. What's his name? I can't.
Right.
Baldo.
They feel
Humberto.
that. Oh yeah.
I'm like, you live in Palos Verdes, mother.
Right.
I
know.
Like, come on.
No, deal with it. But it's if they were to remove that, they'd probably have a lot more success. They don't realize that, like, they don't understand really Latinos. They don't understand how family-oriented Latinos are and how they actually represent a lot of the values that they think that we're supposed to have. White people, mind you, are now not having babies. They're actually disavowing American values by they don't have a lot of family ties.
We're
and
overpopulating, bro. We're gonna take over soon, man.
I'm
telling you, it's like. And here's the thing: I've performed in a lot of red states.
Right.
I've seen George Lopez kill in red states.
Yeah.
So it's like we're the same people, man. Now here's the thing: when I was in doing like all the red states with Mencia, performing these towns, dude, man, it was so much fun because they would laugh.
Yeah.
Because in the day, red or blue,
right.
people talk about violence and gang violence being negative. It's the same thing. Red and blue, blood and crip.
That's what
Republican
it turns
and
into.
Democrats.
But you
the
put
same
them in
thing.
the same room, and they'll most probably get along.
Yeah.
I think it's the division.
I mean,
You know what I'm saying? We just need to mix it up a little bit. We need guys like you to go into the red state and do a set.
oh, I would, and
I think that probably
love
makes more change. I bet you people walked out of that room less racist than they walked in.
Oh yeah, like you know what, honey, we like this one.
Yeah.
He's not that bad.
Yeah,
you know,
because they got to know you. They got to
he's
hear
real
you.
sensitive. He actually knows words. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, bro, you know, we can cross over to them a little bit, but they can cross over to us, man. And at the end of the day, man, if you want to eat good,
Yeah.
and listen to good music, bro, embrace Latino culture, bro.
Not only that, I mean, I like white culture. I'm a big fan of of CCR. You know, like
All American Latinos know what American culture is, but a lot of like white Americans are just ignorant. If they would just find out a little bit more, if they would go into
we
our
take
part
you,
of town.
take us. We love Morrissey.
No, but you gotta understand exactly.
Way too much,
More,
man.
we took more.
We love way too much.
But look, listen, you gotta do, because I grew up in Miami where basically there's no white people. White people left
Yeah.
when Cubans took over. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a pocket of Jewish people in North Miami, and there's a pocket of like some white
I
people
love
in the
those
rich.
Jewish
Yeah.
people in Miami. Those
Yeah.
are my favorite Jewish people in Miami.
Yeah.
How's your
They
mother
don't.
doing?
Yeah.
Oh, she's doing great.
Yeah. But like, you know, so like I grew up in a place where we were the majority, where
Yeah.
everyone spoke Spanish, even white people had to speak Spanish. Here in LA, Mexicans I think are the majority, but there's still other pockets of people that are kind of like trying to separate, and they just, you know, they're resistant to it. But man, if we just mix it up, you know, be loud and proud.
Tell our stories.
Yeah, and tell our
let
stories.
us tell. Like, here's the biggest thing that I hate. I go to the castings. I go to the auditions, and it's always the same story about a guy who his brother is in the gang, but he's a cop now. Yeah. So and it's that moment of truth. What am I gonna do? I'm a cop, but my family's still in the gang. What should I do? Oh my God, moral dilemma. That's not how I grew up. I grew up in LA. I grew up in a city called Norwalk and Artesia, in that area. I grew up in the southeast LA area, okay? A lot of gangs. I grew up in the early 90s before the 13th. Now, the 13th symbolizes the 13 members of the Mexican mafia. So before every gang had a 13th, you know, it was all against each other. Once the 13th was put on there was a treaty. No gangs would fight against each other. So before that, it was just madness. I mean, I was shot at. We were just, that's how we grew up. None of us in my clique of friends were gangsters. We were so worried about our parents, worried about what's going to happen next, worried about life. That wasn't how we grew up. We grew up trying to be normal. We grew up trying to pursue a career in something, not gang violence. No one tells our story.
Right.
No one tells a story about the kid that did everything right, went to school, took care of his parents, got a job, tried to help his mom and dad with the rent. Dad works hard, and then went to college. No, they want you to tell us about that kid that went into drugs and the brother that didn't do so well. You know, what about us good ones?
Yeah.
Like it's just society itself. Like we always have that one cousin that's been doing like horrible things his whole life. He's in drugs, he's in jail, and then he gets a job like at Starbucks, and you're like, did you hear about El Jose? He's doing good now, and everyone's all happy with Jose. Yeah, Jose was been living in crap this whole time, and you're over here with 2 degrees and working your ass off at Ford Company. No one gives a shit about you. You know, that's just society. They want to hear more about Jose. Meanwhile, you're over here for some miraculously way. Your wife left you, but you're still working hard. You're even breastfeeding your kids if that's possible.
That's hilarious.
You're doing everything you can.
Well, today apparently it is. Listen, we're trying to change that here at ITV. You're changing that with everything that you do. Where can people catch you, man?
Check out my Instagram. All the information is there at Momo Rodriguez. You know, everything Momo Rodriguez. Let's have fun together. And you know what? Let's create a new movement, because we Latinos love movements.
Yeah.
We just don't hold on to them. You know, we let the movements go. You know, we don't like to follow up. Latinos hate to follow up.
Yeah.
You know, we don't follow up on anything, man. You know, it's just how it is. Like I haven't talked to you in 7 years. We don't follow up. See,
we're following up right now, my man. And on that note, Momo, you've been on Check It Out.
Check it out, everybody. Check it out.